Hi! So this is Leena, who has been on my channel before, once or twice.
Guilty.
She also loves books, conveniently. So today, we're going to talk about borrowing books and lending out books, which is a thing that we both do, and I think it needs some discussing.
Definitely. We have different approaches to it.
Very different approaches.
For me, I like to own my books. Like, I like to kind of metaphorically piss all over them. I like to like mark them, rip them. Like, the Kerry Smith book is cool, but every book is wreck this journal, to be honest. When I have books that I really like, sometimes I like to have two copies. This is Ali Smith's Girl Meets Boy. So in here, I've kind of like written stuff all over it because I got very excited, and I even did a presentation on it in uni, so I very much annotated that one, but it has such an ugly cover as well, but it's an awesome book. So I got this one second hand. Yeah, this one has like kind of like pink writing at the top, and it's beautiful and it's not touched. So I tend to lend this out to people. I've genuinely not read this copy, but about 4 other people have, because I'm just like, have this, it is good.
So the people that you lend your copies to, are these people that usually read a lot and have a lot of their own books, or not
Sometimes,
at all?
no, like, so I lent this one to my mum because it deals with homosexuality and stuff, and it was something that we were like really discussing and something we like had different views on, so I was like, read this. So yeah, I kind of use it as an almost booksellery marketing tool to own 2 copies of a book.
What happens to me is that I have a lot of books, and when I was still living in the Netherlands, a lot of my friends would read when they would go on holiday or during the summer, but not really outside of that. So what would happen during the summer is that they would come to me and be like, we would like to read some books. Which books would you recommend? I had one friend in particular who would do that. And then there's also my brother, who owns like 2 books, but who does enjoy reading. He would sometimes just be like, which trilogy do you like right now?
Yeah.
Just be like, here, have it.
Yeah.
Read it. Most of the people that want to read my books kind of like the dystopian thing anyway. So I have my little like YA dystopian corner, and they usually tend to like that, which is great.
Yeah.
I am very careful when it comes to my books. I'm not like I used to be, very much like, oh, I cannot touch the books. I've been buying a lot of paperbacks because I like that I can carry them around in my bag, and I don't mind if they get a bit scuffed. But when people borrow my books, I do usually, like if it's an especially nice copy, I will kind of tell them like, could you be careful with it, please? Like, you have people that don't think about the fact that a book can get ruined, and they just like throw it around in their bag.
When I was younger, maybe I was like 10 or 11, I used to borrow books, like accidentally wreck them, and then buy people a new copy because I felt so bad, and I was like, here you go, it's the same one, I swear. But then now I'm really like, if I'm borrowing a book from somebody, I read it in my house.
My saddest story of a book that I've lost because I lent it to someone was my very first copy of The Hunger Games. This was when it had just been released. It was a paperback copy, and it had like a flip front cover. So the front cover had a hole in it, and then it looked like a target. And then you could flip it open, and there was an illustration of Katniss and an illustration of Peeta. And you could flip it so that either Peeta or Katniss was in the front. I used to tutor kids. I tutored them in English, and I was like, come on, let's do some reading. Hunger Games is really, you know, good to recommend to people, so I gave it to her. And then the year ended, and I was like, oh, I really have to ask that copy back, and now it's been like 5 years. It's been too long. She probably doesn't even live at home anymore. She's like off at university.
Like, had children, lived a life.
I'm so sad. Okay, shall we go to our most popular copies?
Yeah. Okay, so one that I lend out quite a lot is Fun Home, which is a family tragicomic. It's by Alison Bechdel. If you've heard of the Bechdel test, which I'm sure will be even talked about even more.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is Alison Bechdel. She invented the Bechdel test. I own about 3 copies of this book. Like, if somebody wants to borrow it that badly, but I don't trust them enough, like, it's okay, because I'm like, please keep it forever, reread it, give it to other people. I'm very evangelical about this. It deals with the notion of like inheritance and emotionally inheriting traits and sadness. It also references a lot of kind of classical literature, but in a really approachable, chatty way, and it's just very, very beautifully done, and it's kind of like watching a very short film that's very beautifully shot, but in your mind. This
is what I mentioned before, like, these are my little dystopian recommendations, which if people don't read a lot, I read this in a day last week because I wanted to reread it.
It's kind of like gateway 1984 stuff. Like, if people aren't gonna read 1984 imminently, you might as well read this. This one's a strange one because it's actually out of print, which is another reason that I have a lot of anxiety about it and buy it up whenever I see it on eBay.
There's lots of tape on it.
There is a lot of tape on this book. This is a guy called A.S. Neal. He ran the first democratic school in the UK. It's all about his beliefs about what children should be brought up to do, what freedom is, how we structure our society, how we can condition kids in different ways to then, you know, we get in what we put out, like we condition kids to go through different stages and different learning processes. There's no compulsory classes. They're very creative, and a lot of them come out as like amazing directors or actors actors or scientists, and it's all self-motivated.
Predictable. I only own about like 7 copies of that book anyway, because I own so many copies of this, I have no hesitation giving it out.
Yeah.
I also can give this to reluctant readers because I'm just like, it has the Netherlands in it, and my name is in it, and it's John Green. Because I have the issue where I've lent books out to people and they haven't given them back. I now have this amazing thing, the personal library kit. I was sent this recently, and I plan on using it. So what's in it is, first of all, a little card that says title, author, loaned to, date, and phone number. So you fill this out, and then there's a date stamp. And you can just put the appropriate date on there. Stamp the return date on it. Oh,
It's so anal, but so awesome.
This is like my ultimate dream. And I don't know if I would stick these in my books, but I would definitely put them in there, maybe with like blue tack, because I don't want to permanently attach it to the book.
It comes with like ink as well, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it comes with a little ink pad and stuff. So if you have any book lover friends and you still need a Christmas present. So that is our book borrowing, lending story. In the comments, let us know if you ever borrow or lend books, and if you take care of them. If you have any disaster stories, leave them in the comments as well. Bye!